In the quiet chill of a winter morning across the Pennsylvania countryside, the most distinct sound you hear is the gentle crackling of a polished black cast iron stove. For the Amish community, who gracefully live off the grid, the fire in the hearth is not merely a source of warmth, it is the beating heart that sustains the family. Across generations, they have learned to revere every piece of firewood, understanding the unique nature of each grain of oak, maple, or hickory. Those resilient hardwoods demand a magnificent patience. A majestic oak tree stretching toward the canopy in a quiet corner of the woods must spend 30 to 50 years gathering the essence of earth and sky before it is ready to bestow its warmth upon humanity. An entire human lifetime passes just to await a single cycle of growth. But deep within the chronicles of creation, there exists a botanical life pulsing with an entirely different biological rhythm. It does not test human patience with long stretching decades. It bestows its abundance with a generosity so profound it leaves modern science in awe. It is an entity that can soar to 15 feet over 4.5 meters in just a single year. Not a meager 15 inches, nor 15 feet across a decade. We are speaking of 15 feet stretching straight up to the heavens in a single 12-month rotation of the sun. If you sow a sapling this spring, by next spring, you must tilt your head back just to see its crown. The plant bearing this miraculous vitality is scientifically known as Paulownia tomentosa, or more rustically, the empress tree. For those cultivating a life of true self-sufficiency, the Paulownia opens a completely new lens on the concept of renewable energy. To yield the exact same volume of wood that a resilient oak takes half a century to forge, the Paulownia requires a mere 5 years. It reaches maturity and stands ready for harvest, while the indigenous saplings are still slowly stretching beneath the forest canopy. But the miracle does not stop at its soaring speed. Hidden deep within its light, airy timber is a staggering capacity to generate heat. When fed into a roaring hearth, Paulownia wood produces up to 9,500 BTUs per pound. To put this into perspective, this radiant heat burns brighter and more steadily than some common types of coal, which peak at around 8,000 to 9,000 BTUs. It burns with a soothing grace, radiating a warmth that permeates every corner of the room on blizzard-swept nights, all without leaving a heavy trace of soot in the air. A single acre dedicated to this tree can provide enough firewood to keep a rustic country home warm for an entire decade. And this is where the ancient agrarian wisdom of humanity, a practice the Amish quietly uphold, reveals its true majesty. The art of coppicing. When a woodsman fells an oak, that tree has entirely fulfilled its life cycle. But when you harvest a Paulownia, it is merely a new beginning. Its colossal root system remains undisturbed beneath the dark, friable loam, holding a massive reserve of energy. Empirical forestry studies show that a healthy Paulownia stump can endure 7 to 8 continuous cycles of coppicing. This means that from a single humble planting, that deeply anchored root system can continuously send up new shoots, providing a steady stream of firewood for 50 to 70 long years. When spring gently knocks at the door, fierce new shoots will burst forth from the freshly harvested stump. In this rhythmic dance of coppicing, you harvest the timber every 3 years, and the trunk rises again from the very same roots, endlessly repeating a cycle of abundance. From the same patch of earth, the same root system nature gifts you the fuel to warm generation after generation without ever needing to sow another seed. It is the most primal, purest definition of sustainability. This deep reverence for the Paulownia is not a modern discovery. Its history traces back to the mystical East, where it has been nurtured and cherished for over 3,000 years. The most ancient texts of Chinese civilization, dating back to the Shang dynasty, roughly 1600 years before Christ, capture the silhouette of the Paulownia. It was a tree casting its protective shade when ancient Rome was merely laying its first stones, and it was celebrated when the pyramids were still fresh, gleaming monuments. In Japan, the Paulownia known as the kiri tree holds a deeply noble status. Its blossom was chosen as the emblem on the government's official seal, and the highest honor bestowed by the imperial family is the Order of the Paulownia Sun. These time-honored traditions carry far more than symbolic meaning. They are deeply woven into the fabric of family life. In the ancient rustic countryside of the East, to mark the birth of a baby girl, a father would walk quietly into the backyard and sow a paulownia seed. The tree would grow, bathing in the same sunlight and drinking the same rains throughout the girl's childhood years. 15 or 20 years later, when the young woman reached the age of marriage, that sapling had transformed into a towering, mature tree. The father would fell the tree, carefully carving and smoothing the wood with his own calloused hands to craft an exquisite dowry chest. That chest would follow his daughter to her new home, safeguarding her fine silk garments, destined to be passed down to her children and grandchildren. This beautiful resonance mirrors with profound depth the hope chest culture of young Amish women. Amish woodworkers, with their weathered hands and love for rustic perfection, find in paulownia an invaluable gift from nature. Though classified botanically as a hardwood, for it bears flowers rather than needles, the grain of its timber carries an extraordinarily light weight. A single cubic foot of paulownia wood weighs only 16 to 18 pounds lighter than hard balsa or pine, and less than half the weight of solid oak. A woman could effortlessly lift her hope chest without straining her back. Beyond its lightness, the architecture of countless microscopic air pockets woven into the grain transforms it into an exceptional insulator, boasting a superior thermal resistance. It shields the precious heirlooms inside from the blistering heat of summer and the biting frost of winter. Yet hidden within that airy lightness is an enduring strength that challenges time itself. Paulownia wood possesses a remarkably stable cellular structure. It rarely warps when summer storms bring heavy humidity, nor does it crack when winter turns the air bone dry. It commands an impressive strength-to-weight ratio, so resilient that it was once used to craft highly engineered components. When the carpenter's plane glides across the surface, the wood reveals a delicate, elegant grain, as smooth as silk. And when gently rubbed with a coat of natural linseed oil, the timber warms into a honey gold hue, capable of protecting the silken fabrics within flawlessly through 400 years of history. A sapling grown for 15 years, forging a keepsake that survives 4 centuries. It is a quiet ballad of endurance. Dear friend, as we reflect together upon a tree that carries the power to warm a hearth and preserve timeless memories, perhaps you too can feel a gentle soothing within your soul. If you are someone who constantly yearns to return to a life of true freedom, wishing to limit your reliance on the industrial grid, to cultivate warmth for your family with your own hands, then we are walking the same quiet path. Please take a peaceful moment to gently press the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your rustic shared comments about your love for nature are the warmest fire giving me the strength to continue gathering these traditional ecological stories, returning the heirloom seeds of understanding safely back into your hands. Now let us step off the porch and look deep into the woods to truly comprehend the majestic, restorative power of this living entity. The element that fuels the paulownia's astonishing growth rate lies in the architecture of its leaves and root system. In young saplings, its leaves are absurdly colossal, reaching up to 36 inches across, casting a shadow like a magnificent natural umbrella. They stretch out like Mother Earth's most flawless biological solar panels. Simultaneously, beneath the soil, its taproot does not sprawl shallowly, but plunges straight down, capable of reaching depths of 40 feet. At this profound depth, rarely touched by other flora, it anchors the earth firmly against erosion. It acts as a biological pump, drawing forgotten deep earth minerals up through the bedrock to nourish the soaring canopy. This massive leaf surface area translates to an incredibly fierce rate of photosynthesis. The tree inhales carbon dioxide from the atmosphere at a pace that commands the deep respect of ecologists. A single acre planted with Paulownia can sequester up to 100 tons of carbon dioxide each year, a rate vastly superior to a conventional forest. In a world anxiously seeking ways to balance the atmosphere, this tree stands as a natural biological filter, quietly purifying the air and locking the carbon safely away within its dense, heavy grain. Yet with such untamed vitality, the Paulownia sometimes leaves those in modern society feeling hesitant. In certain regions, they are viewed as a species requiring strict growth management, as their rapid spread easily draws attention. Its seeds are tiny-winged and gracefully ride the wind for miles. When they land in barren clearings, abandoned mines, or alongside rocky dirt roads, they swiftly germinate and rise to canopy the space. Large-scale agroforestry management, which favors rhythmic planning and familiar crops, sometimes places limits on this tree. Even so, if we observe through the lens of natural ecology, the Paulownia serves as a deeply devoted pioneer species. Nature holds her own laws of regeneration. When a tract of land is scarred by natural disaster or over-extraction, the earth becomes parched and stripped of its protective humus. Sensitive indigenous hardwoods struggle to take root in such unforgiving soil. That is precisely when pioneer species like the Paulownia emerge. It endures the harsh conditions, driving its roots deep into the barren dirt to hold the fragile topsoil against erosion. Its colossal leaves unfurl, casting a cooling shade over the earth, trapping precious moisture for all living things beneath it. With every passing autumn, it sheds thousands of decaying leaves, silently rebuilding the organic humus. Once its shade has rendered the earth softer and richer in nutrients, it creates a sanctuary for fungal spores, delicate ferns, and the seeds of indigenous hardwoods to thrive beneath its canopy. And as the forest slowly heals, those shade-loving trees will stretch upward to reclaim the sky. The Paulownia acts as a patient timekeeper, quietly restoring the life force of Mother Earth before gracefully stepping aside for the next generation of the forest. This restorative power is also applied to lands desperately in need of environmental healing. Modern studies have revealed that the Paulownia is a hyperaccumulator. In regions where the soil is tainted by heavy metals, the root system of the Paulownia operates as a natural biological groundwater filtration engine. It absorbs excess toxins from the earth and stores them safely within its cellular tissues. This process of phytoremediation is Mother Earth's way of restoring environmental balance with quiet grace, sparing us the need for heavy mechanized intervention. As the tree matures, the ground beneath its roots slowly becomes safe once again. The timber harvested from these specific trees can still be used to generate energy in specialized, controlled facilities. Furthermore, its natural architecture equips the Paulownia with an invisible shield. Though it serves as magnificent firewood when fed into a hearth, its dense, honeycomb-like cellular structure grants it an incredibly high resistance to spreading wildfires in nature. While common woods ignite at roughly 420 to 510 degrees Fahrenheit, Paulownia timber demands an astonishing auto-ignition temperature of 780 to 800 degrees Fahrenheit, around 420 to 430 degrees Celsius. It requires a massive influx of heat and continuous exposure before it will finally catch fire. Because of this, in many rural countryside, rows of Paulownia are planted as quiet biological fire breaks, helping to protect homesteads and pastures from the risk of spreading flames. Those same natural compounds serve as a shield against mold and termites, allowing Paulownia fence posts to stand tall against sun and rain for years, without ever needing to be soaked in artificial chemical preservatives. The story of the Paulownia is a profound lesson in understanding. Sometimes the very things that cause modern humanity to hesitate are the natural traits designed by creation to help us find ecological balance. The Amish, through their slow-paced living and deep reverence for all things, show us that nature always has her own reasoning. When we stop viewing creation purely through a commercial lens and begin to observe how a single pioneer seed heals a barren patch of earth, we realize that abundance is present everywhere. Sowing a Paulownia sapling is not merely planting firewood for the future or preparing timber for a memory chest. It is a harmonious connection with the breathing of Mother Earth, a place where every living entity holds a sacred purpose and not a single heartbeat of nature is without meaning.